Hi, my name's Lisa and welcome to my channel. Come on in, take a seat and relax. This could be a long video. This could be just part one. I could be doing two videos. In fact, I probably will because there's other fragrances that I want to talk about that fall into the autumn, winter categories. And before we go any further, I'm so sorry that I haven't made any videos recently, but I nearly stopped altogether, to be honest. I had a number of people coming on to my channel and basically watching all of my videos. I don't have many, but I have a few, and they watch them and then critique them and were very, very cruel. And I thought, you know what, is it worth it? And I just want to clear something up. I am not a professional perfume reviewer. Not that I think there are many on YouTube that are professionals and they haven't acquired a qualification or gained, perfumery experience by maybe being a chemist. There's not many out there that are. There are a few and I admire them. But I'm just like everybody else. I'm just reviewing perfume that I am passionate about. And they were very derogatory about the perfumes that I was talking about, as if they weren't possibly good enough. But I will be enthusiastic about a £20 perfume just as much as I'd be enthusiastic about a £100 perfume, because for me, if I like it, I'll be passionate about it and I don't care what the price is. I don't care. I've smelt very expensive perfumes. I've owned a few, and they're not necessarily the best perfumes I've ever smelt. Some of the best perfumes I've actually owned over the years have been relatively reasonably priced. I'll be perfectly truthful with you. So I'm just wanted to get that out the way. I am not a professional perfume reviewer. I never have once said I am. And I don't care if people are upset with me reviewing and being passionate about a £10 perfume and going into detail. I will not stop. So after me feeling sorry for myself for about a few weeks, actually, I thought, you know what? I love my perfume and I'm going to share the love with you. So enough of that rubbish. Grab a coffee. Let's jump right in. And I'm going to start with some honourable mentions. Okay, so I'm going to start with this. Now, this is a very simple perfume. And not everybody wants 100 notes. Sometimes they just want the smell of one note or two. And in this case, I think there's just two. I don't know exactly, but I believe there's vanilla and candy floss or cotton candy. Okay, and it's an eau de toilette and it's vanille and it's from Outremer. So it's got a lid on. I'll just take the lid off. Okay, and I'll just give it a spray and I'll give you my thoughts. Two will do. Two will always do. I'll put it there for a second. Yeah, it's a very sweet when you spray it first. It's very, very sweet. That cotton candy note will hit you. It's linear. It stays the same. It doesn't change throughout the time you're wearing it. But if you like kind of one note, possibly two notes, this is perfect for the autumn and possibly heading into the winter. It's an eau de toilette, so there's no expectation that it's going to last you hours and hours. I'll put the price of this bottle. It's very reasonable. I'll put the price here. And this will last you, I would say, 2 hours. Okay, then from there on it will become a skin scent, and eventually after 3 it's probably disappeared. But for the price point, it's definitely worth it, and it's perfect for fall, or I like to say autumn, because I'm English. Okay, my second nomination, honourable mention, is this. And this is Pink Sugar. Again, it's an eau de toilette. I'll just take the lid off. Okay. And I keep it in the case. And it's a nice glass bottle. Okay, it's Pink Sugar. And it's by Aquolina. And there you have it. Another reasonably priced purchase. Not many. Well, there is a couple of notes. But when you spray it, you can kind of only pick up 2. maybe 3. And it's about £15 for 100 ml, okay? And its lasting power is a good 3 to 4 hours. So it performs probably just as well as some of the other perfumes out there. And this is, I will spray, why not? I will spray. This is, whew, raspberry, orange and bergamot, possibly a little bit of fig, but that's just in the top. There's cotton candy, licorice, red berries, strawberry lily, caramel, vanilla, musk, and I think there's sandalwood. But it's so potent. A little goes a long way. Don't overspray this, because I think you would get a headache even in the winter, because it's, I'm not saying it's suffocatingly sweet, but it's definitely tooth-achingly, okay? And this basically smells of sponge sugar, I would say. Yeah, sticky sponge sugar with a little bit of caramel, a little bit of vanilla, and there is licorice, and it does appear a little bit deep, that licorice, if you overspray. But gently mist yourself once, maximum twice. Don't put it direct into certain spots. Just give yourself an overall mist and you're ready to go. A perfect kind of, it's my guilty pleasure. It's my guilty pleasure. Again, I don't wear it often, but when I do, it's probably just for me, this one. So it's worth a mention because of its affordability. Okay, moving on to the next, and this is another honourable mention, and this is Amazing Grace by Philosophy. I think it's a 60ml bottle, and this fragrance for me is a fragrance I kind of have a leaning to when I've had a really tough day and I just want a nice, warm bubble bath, and after the nice warm bubble bath I want to just relax. And this has a few notes, bergamot, I don't know offhand all the notes, but I think there's bergamot, orange, grapefruit, freesia, there is rose and musk, but nothing really stands out. It's pretty well blended, and I like that. It's a clean, soapy clean, bubble bath clean fragrance, and it just has something nostalgic about it. Now, I've smelt it somewhere before, not in by Philosophy. I have this, it's familiar to me, and I don't know if it's an old Body Shop scent that I once smelled years ago. I don't know, but it's so familiar. And Amazing Grace is such a delightful, a reasonably priced fragrance. It lasts, like I say, 2 hours, so it's perfect at bedtime because you won't annoy your husband or partner. And it won't give you a headache. Obviously, any perfume could give you a headache if you overspray, but I really enjoy this. It's cozy, it's reassuring, and it calms me down after a hectic day. Perfect for fall, autumn, and winter. And it was an honourable mention. I think you pick up this bottle for about £30, maybe a little bit less in the sales. Keep a lookout, especially if you're not into a kind of imposing strong fragrances. There you go. And on to the next. Okay, so the next fragrance we're going to talk about, if I can fit it even in the screen, is Kenzo Amour. And it is wonderfully, works wonderfully in the autumn and the winter. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because I think it's a forgotten fragrance. And it's perfect for those who don't actually like heavy floral perfumes. It really is. It's delightful. And, not everybody does. And I remember when I first started getting into perfume quite a long time ago, back in the 1980s, I was put off by this, because it was in an era where there was lots of aldehydes in perfume, and it put me off a lot of heavy, heady floral fragrances. So perfumes like this still float my boat, and this is why I probably like this fragrance. So let's give it a try. There's the actual bottle. It's 100ml, and I'll put the price of a 100ml bottle on the screen. 2 will do, just to refresh my memory. Yeah. There's an actual rice note in here, and white tea, cherry blossom. There's lots of other notes, but there's vanilla and heliotrope. So it has a slight powderiness to it. So let me just say that despite the fact there are lots of notes in this, and there is, the perfume has shown great restraint because none of them shout louder than the other, if you understand. And it really does have a calming and cozy feel. And it doesn't shout, this fragrance. Oh, no, no, no. It whispers. It has that creamy rice note. Some people have said rice pudding. I'm not so convinced because I don't think it's sweet enough to have that, you know, rice pudding feel. But I understand because it is a creaminess. And that gives this fragrance, that creaminess gives this fragrance kind of a gentleness. And there's a gentle sprinkling of powder too, which adds to its softness. It's not loud, and I absolutely love it. Now, longevity, you're talking 3 hours. Yeah, 3 hours. And, you know, it's a moderate sillage. But for those, I always struggle putting the lid back on. Oh, there we go. But for those of you who don't particularly like very strong, powerful fragrances with heavy florals, this is the perfect one because it's so gentle. Nothing clashes, nothing shouts loud. Everything just seems to be calm. And that's why I like Kenzo Amour. On to the next. Okay, on to the next fragrance. And this is worth a mention. This is Red Kiss Loverdose by Diesel. Another great, affordable, underrated fragrance. And I think Jeremy Fragrance, I'm quite relatively new to watching his videos, but he does seem to have talked about this fragrance a lot. And I'm in agreement. It's an underrated, great fragrance. So let's talk about it, shall we? So I'm just going to give this a spray. He says it's very sexy and it's probably a night out kind of fragrance, but I totally disagree with that principle. And here we go. Yeah, the opening is sweet, very sweet. There's sugar, blackcurrant apple and bergamot in the opening. And when you first spray it, it has the same opening, just ever so slightly, as Ariana Grande Sweet Candy. Yeah. But don't be deceived by that opening and don't let it put you off because you think it's going to be juvenile because it has that kind of youthful kind of Ariana Grande perfume kind of feel to the opening. But there's cocoa and I think, or cacao maybe, and there's hazelnut in this. And it has, no joke to this fragrance. It has a powdered hazelnut feeling as it dries. It's like the hazelnut has been slightly dipped in chocolate. And, you know, once it does dry, and it takes about a couple of minutes, once it dries, it actually feels like you're eating. You know, I don't know if you know Quality Streets. Well, one of my favourite chocolates in that tub is the Triangle Praline. And it just smells like the powdered hazelnut. If you were to crush hazelnuts into a powder and put them into a chocolate triangle, that's what it smells like as it dries. Now, I don't think it's a nightclub scent or a going out scent. I just think this is a real casual wearing fragrance for fall. And I wear this going shopping, doing errands. I really enjoy it. It's casual to me. It's a little bit sexy, absolutely. And who doesn't want to feel sexy every day? I do. I don't always feel that way, but this perfume helps. I wouldn't say nightclub. I just think it's a casual, everyday fragrance. And for the price point, I'll put the price here. It's fantastic. Grab yourself a bottle. It's not a heavy floral, so don't worry about that if you don't like those kind of things. This is just a cool fragrance and has a little bit of sweetness. As I said, powdered hazelnut, slightly dipped in chocolate. That's the dry down, with obviously a little bit of sweetness from the apricot and the amber, but really good value. Jeremy's right. It's a great fragrance and underrated. I wouldn't say it was nightclub. I think it's even better than that. I think it's something you can wear every day. On to the next. Okay, on to the next fragrance. And this is Azzaro Wanted Girl by Night. And reasonably priced. I'll put the price on the screen. And I picked this up. And this is it's 50 mils. And I actually picked this up for a bargain price at £38. So it's a reasonably priced, and it's new to my collection. I do have some Azzaro fragrances that I bought from my husband, and he really enjoys them. So I wanted to try this. Now let's talk about it, shall we? And give it a spray. And I love the spray because you use the handle like a hand grenade. Two. It's got a great atomizer, yeah. Okay. Now, top notes. Ooh. You hit with this. I'll be honest. When I first actually sprayed this, I was like, oh, I don't know if I like this. And I think it's because it was the whipped cream and rum. It's a strange combination. And I thought, oh, no. No. And it has, I don't know what the middle notes are. I can't remember them. I'll put them on the screen because I've lost my memory. My memory's gone blank. I must be going through menopause. But in the base, there's patchouli. And don't worry, because the patchouli isn't detectable. It's not worryingly detectable. And I don't particularly like patchouli if it's done too heavy. So, once it dries, and here we go. I was concerned originally when I first smelled it. I thought, oh, I don't know if this is for me. I don't know, it's that rum note. And then I thought, oh, I'm warming to it. As it dried, it got a little bit makeup-y, a little bit powdery, like face powder, like old school powder, you know, the face pressed powder. It has that feel. And I've really warmed to it, and there's a sweetness to it. And I really have warmed to this fragrance. I wouldn't blind buy. I would get a sample, or if you're in a store and you see it, please grab it. I don't know if it's been discontinued, possibly so. But I tell you what, I smelt Jean Paul Gaultier, and I love Jean Paul Gaultier, but I got a sample of the Classique, which has rum in it. And out of the two, I would pick Azzaro. I didn't like this as much. And now I realise, oh, I actually like Azzaro Wanted. And I've been wearing it. It's not a night. It says Wanted Girl by Night. For me, it's not, again, it's a casual kind of autumn fall fragrance. And I like that makeup, because I do like powder in my fragrances. I like that makeup feel. Don't be put off in the opening. The opening kind of hits you and you're like, oh, I don't know about that, because the whipped cream and the rum kind of jar. Something's not right. But give it a couple of minutes, and when it settles, I think, do you know what? I do like it, and I will wear it. And I have been. I've worn it out during the day. I haven't worn it at night. I don't very rarely go dancing. So a lot of my fragrance aren't sophisticated and complex because I don't go disco dancing. It's just mainly errands or meeting friends for lunch, etc. So yeah, give it a try. As I say, don't blind buy. But I wanted to mention it because it's new to my collection. Hadn't tried it before, and I'm pleasantly surprised. Yeah, and that's Azzaro Wanted Girl by Night. Next. Okay, so we're nearly there. We're nearly to the end of part one of my autumn and winter fragrances. And this is a rose fragrance. So this is floral, but it's predominantly rose, and it's by Van Cleef and Arpels, and it's Rose Rouge. And I will put the price of this full-size bottle, which I think, oh, I can't even read that. I can't even read what mils, but it's a full-size bottle anyway. And yeah, let's talk about it. So, I'm not saying this is for rose lovers, because I think people who don't even like heady floral fragrances should try this rose fragrance. Get a sample, like I did, and I was hooked. Okay, there we go. So, there's blackcurrant, pepper, bergamot, and rose, raspberry, vanilla. I think there's even cacao. There's a little bit of vetiver, benzoin, and musk, and there's probably more notes than that. I'm just kind of running in my memory bank. Okay, so apologies if I don't get all the notes. Okay, now I'm hit in the opening with this jammied red rose, and it's kind of been preserved in this kind of sweet raspberry red wine. Okay, yeah, like, yeah, rosé wine, yeah. And there's a subtle green edge to it. Now, don't worry, don't panic, because I hate too green of a fragrance, and this is not it. Instead, the greenness gives the fragrance a slight freshness, even though I do say that this is definitely autumn and winter. Okay, and this freshness kind of prevents it from becoming cloyingly sweet, because it is a sweet rose. Okay, and there's a coldness to this fragrance despite its richness. There is a coldness, and I really like that. Sometimes I actually like wearing cold fragrances in the cold. Yes, I do love the warming fragrances that warm you up, but I also find this so uplifting and refreshing to wear a colder fragrance. And I'll be talking finally about a very cold fragrance very shortly, but we're talking about Rose Rouge. And I picture walking in the park or through the woods on a very cold day, and the leaves are falling at my feet, and I'm wearing this, and I just feel wonderful. It's rather sophisticated, and it's worth a try. I really do enjoy it. And this is my second bottle. And I'm not saying you should just go out and blind buy. Please don't, because it is a rose intense. It's rose amplified fragrance, but it's done in such a jammy, rich, like rosé wine way, that I think lots of people would enjoy it. And I enjoy it especially in October, November, and over Christmas. So that's Van Cleef and Arpels Rose Rouge. And finally, on to the last fragrance. Okay, and finally, we're going to, I'll put the lid on so you can see it as it's all its glory. That's my second bottle actually. I had this small, older shaped bottle. I had the small bottle, but I went and got a bigger bottle of the new, improved, I suppose, bottle. I like both bottles actually. And this is Guerlain Insolence, and this is an eau de toilette. You can get it in the Perfume, but I just think it was a little bit too much for me, so I got the eau de toilette. So let's talk about it and give it a spray. So again, this is a perfume, and most of them here, apart from Roses Rouge, are perfect or good to try if you don't particularly like heavy, heady floral perfumes. And this one here, Guerlain, is no exception. Okay, it's violet, iris, red berries, an orange blossom. Okay, for me, it's like fairy's breath. And if you're old enough to remember Parma violets, those little sweeties, that's what it actually smells like. Parma violets, definitely. And when I say Parma violets, there is kind of a dustiness to this fragrance. And if you think of the Parma violets candies and the little sweets, they're quite chalky. And this is too. It's quite interesting that's why I probably think that it reminds me of Parma violets, because this has a dustiness, and so does the Parma violets candies that you can eat. And this is a fresh, cold scent. I don't care what anyone says, there's a coldness definitely to this fragrance. And as I've spoken, a dusty quality. And it has an old feel. Now, I'm not saying outdated, because I'm not saying that at all. But there's a classical old feel to it. And I think it's because of the violet and the iris. Okay, it's kind of nostalgic. That's why I'm saying classically old, because it gives me a nostalgic feeling, a comforting feeling, you know, and it's dreamy in it, and it has a whimsical feel, but it only has a whimsical feel if you don't overspray this. And I believe you can really overspray the eau de parfum. One or two sprays sprayed over you like a mist will give you such a nicer experience of wearing this perfume than just doing 2 sharp or 4 sharp blasts to the body in one area. Okay, use this like a mist, and you're kind of sprinkled with fairy dust. Yeah. Don't blind buy. As I say, please do not blind buy this fragrance. It's not for everybody, and it's very unusual, and that's why I wanted to talk about it. I just love it in the cold weather. I really do. And it has good performance for an eau de toilette. I would say 4 hours. Okay. And it's worth sampling. Okay, please don't go out and buy on my recommendation. I just wanted to talk about it. I don't wear this every day. I certainly don't. But when I'm wanting to feel a little bit more mood lifting, it's mood lifting. That's it. On a cold day, there's something very interesting about wearing cold fragrances in the cold, and this is one of them, and I think it really works perfectly with it. And I suppose it's a transition fragrance as well. It falls from, you could wear it summer into autumn, but likewise I wanted to talk about a fall fragrance, because I actually like it when it gets cold, because there's a crispness to this fragrance. And Guerlain have actually been bought out, I think, quite a number of years ago. I thought Guerlain were still going, but they were bought out by Louis Vuitton and another management company, I believe. So, yeah, I was a little bit disappointed. I thought Guerlain was still going strong, but they sold up a few years ago to Louis Vuitton, of all people. So there you go. Guerlain EDT Insolence. Well, thanks for your time. It really has meant a lot that you've sat here and listened to me babble on. If you've liked this video, again, please give me a thumbs up. It really does help small channels like mine grow. And subscribe it, if you want to see more videos like this. And in fact, I'm going to be talking about this sample that I got from Jean Paul Gaultier Classique. I'm going to be talking about that in a review alongside the new Paradox by Prada. And I think it's called Good Fortune by Victor and Rolf. I've sampled them, I've been wear testing them, and I'll be talking about them soon. So hit that bell and hit that notification, and you'll be reminded every time I upload. And thanks very much for watching.